I think it was. I gave you all 6 before when we started today. So I'm going to push the button. Everybody got their notes caught up? Probably be another second or so for that. And so let's see what we're going to do before coffee break. We're going to go over how to convert a call into a face-to-face meeting. So our coffee break in the afternoon here will probably be in about a half hour or 20 minutes. It'll be a short one, and I'll probably go over past 3 because we started late today. Again, but it's important information for you, so I don't want to rush it. So proactive, there's 2 methods of prospecting. One is proactive, we had 5 ways, 5 methods. And number 2 was reactive, which is reacting to your marketing. We had 6 ways. Number 1 was advertise your listings. It's the number 1 way to generate leads. And number 2 was target market, which is still part of that advertising as well. And number 3 is your geo-farm area, yes?
Yes.
And in your geo-farm area, I want you to look ahead. I don't know how far ahead you have to go. If you're brand new, a lot of this stuff can be a bit overwhelming for you. I get that. But it's good to know how it works, yes? Isn't that true, gang? If you're new? Those who've been around for a while, you might be saying, oh, you know what? I do have money for this. I can send out some postcards, and it would be refreshing to get more people phoning me.
Yes.
So I'm going to give it a shot. And I would recommend you send out a couple thousand to start with. Even 3,000 to start with. Someday you should be spending, do 5. That fellow I mentioned, he's doing 15,000 a month. Well, I know him. He's skipping a month once in a while, but you shouldn't do that. But he's still doing pretty good. Anyways, you should send out either the business builder or postcard, and DMS marketing can help you with that. And that fellow, by the way, I told you in Edmonton that sends out 100,000 postcards. He actually sends them out to pretty well every house in the city of Edmonton. So it's probably more than 100,000, or it's selective areas, I'm not sure, but I know he does over 100,000. So I get his postcard. So let me ask you this. In the last 6 months, how many postcards do you think I got from that fella? 6. And do you think any of them look different?
No.
They look exactly the same. And he does over 500 sales a year. 500.
Wow.
Did you hear that number?
Yes.
So that's 15 on his team. So divide 500 by 15, that's an average of about 25. 25 deals per agent, sending out basically he just does the postcards and a little bit of pay-per-click off his website for his team. So you just divide the numbers, right? So for you, pick an area where you send out, 5,000 postcards, let's say, every month. Figure out your budget, figure out how much money you need to make to put back into your business to pay for all that. And you don't have to be proactive. You don't have to do cold calling. You don't have to do door knocking. Not that you won't, because you may feel like it one day. Probably not. Seriously. When you're new, somebody go, oh, I'll door knock forever. No, it's not going to happen. I really appreciate when you're new and you're really motivated that you do it, and I think you should. But you can't have a business that you're always door knocking and cold calling all the time. And here's 2 reasons. One is I know you will get sick and tired of it at some point. Make sense?
Yes.
You know what the other reason is? The government. What is the government saying right now about making phone calls?
Don't.
No, well, they're saying don't, but they're saying it another way. They are encouraging everybody to join the national do not call list for free. And only half the people are doing it right now, but they're going to push it until everybody's on it.
Yeah.
If they don't, they're going to change the legislation and just say that nobody's allowed to phone, period. Which they can't do because somebody might just say, here's my friend's phone number, give him a call. And somebody could literally get in trouble for that, which doesn't make sense, right? Okay, so but they're going to keep pushing it. So we already don't like it, but if we do like it once in a while, they're going to try to get us to stop doing it. Email, what do they have that's preventing us from sending out a whole bunch of emails? There's a law. There's a law against it. Anti-spam legislation. You can get fined up to $10,000 as a realtor. And what's the new law that came out east that's coming west probably in the next few years about door knocking? Salespeople are not allowed to door knock. It's coming here soon.
Isn't that without a permit though?
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Isn't it with a permit you can door knock?
That's right, I just can't.
Isn't it with a permit you can door knock?
Yeah, you have to get a permit and in only certain companies. Yeah, yeah. So that's coming as well. But hey, we don't like it anyways. So wouldn't we rather have our phone ringing? Exactly, right? Sorry, I just couldn't hear you. I don't know why. It's just the way it gets for me sometimes. So where was I here? Oh, your GeoFarm area, send out the business builder a postcard. You would use a postal drop with 5,000, but it is unaddressed ad mail. What company could you use if you want? You know, when you hear somebody like me tell you about a company, that means they've been checked out, they've been used for decades. You know, if there's an issue, you talk to me and I'll help figure it out with you, so you got some support and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, you can use whoever you want, but I'm just saying, I used to have no companies, and people would ask me, who should I use? And I sat there and I thought, you know what, I think I'll do some research on different companies for certain things, tell them I'll promote them in the class, as long as they're taking care of my students the best, and we'll work together. So these are the ones I've been working with for decades, right? Start small, but be consistent, all right? So number 4 was past clients. It should be clients, not customers, guys and gals. You can change that, put past clients and referrals. So what's the best way to keep in touch with somebody? If you don't have time to phone them,
Newsletters.
newsletter, right? Use DMS marketing. You could also send an e-newsletter, which is more affordable, but less people look at it by tenfold at least. And so I hope all of you signed up for Exact Contact or figured out your CRM with KVCore. I know some people that found the Exact Contact just to be so much easier. I mean, just check it out for a couple months for free if you want. But they got a great e-newsletter. Does KVCore have an e-newsletter that goes out every month?
Yes.
So then use that if you're set up with them, okay? And client appreciation events. So give me an example. What would be, let's say you have a newsletter, let's say you're in your 3rd year of real estate and you've sold 75 houses in the middle of your 3rd year. First year you sold 20, next year you sold 35, and you sold 10 into the 3rd year. You probably do 40 that year. But you had 75 past clients. You want to thank them. They've been getting your newsletter every month. Some of them have sent referrals their way. Some of them have used it again already. Now you want to do an event for them. You want to invite them all to come and join you for something. Give me an idea of what would work for a client appreciation event.
They also did a comedy show, so something like that. Invite.
Yeah, we did.
Comedy show?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I had another company that did the movie theater and invited all the people to the movie theater too. And
Yes.
I did a AAA baseball game where I invited everybody, and I went there and I could hear people calling my name in the audience. It was really cool. You know, so you got, what did you say again? It was a
It was a comedy night.
comedy night?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you invite all your past clients.
Everybody, yes.
And, or you could have, in all the cities that I know of, including where I'm from, you can go to some of the parks and there's a sign, green sign, and it'll say, call this number to reserve. And the city will let you take a spot at one of the parks. And they have a fire pit, and they got a kajip, what do you call it? Gazebo. I know they knew that. And you just invite all your clients, get one of those jumpy things for the kids, and toss around some burgers and hot dogs, and just, you know, one of those, that kind of, get a couple sponsors to show up, and you know, and everyone just comes and has some fun, and you have your own little booth sort of thing with some of your highlight sheets and stuff. And you should do any of the things we just said at least once a year, all the time, okay? The next thing is your website. Your website should have its own domain name. So what is a good domain name?
403
Yeah.
realty.com.
Yeah, your name or the realtor's name, in other words,
Yes.
right? You know, so what's your last name, Amy?
Crawford.
.com.
That's what she has.
AmyCrawford.com.
Yeah.
That's what she has.
That's what you
What-
have.
what-
Dot
That's a
.ca.
pretty common name. You're lucky you got the .com.
.ca.
You got .ca, so it's probably Amy Crawford States that has the .com or something.
Yeah.
But .com's the best one to get because it's, you know, easier to remember, I guess. If you have a unique name, then you'll probably get your domain name. And where can you get your domain name?
Google domains.
GoDaddy.com. Everybody knows that? GoDaddy.com or Google. Buy 10, 15 bucks a year.
Yeah.
And you pay, if you have a website that you want to put it on, then you gotta get somebody to embed it, and you pay for the SLS or whatever it's called every year, 150 bucks or something. But if you have a website already, like KVCore has a website for you. and it's your name dot yourcompany.com, I think, from what I know.
Yes.
And you would take your GoDaddy name, and in GoDaddy it says
Forward it.
direct this to, and you put that other address in GoDaddy, and you can advertise your name.com, and it'll just go straight to
Yeah,
that site
forward.
that you want it to. Sounds good?
Yes.
So 10, 20 bucks. Just make sure you have auto renewal for that through GoDaddy. I have about 5 website addresses through GoDaddy, and that for decades I've been using them, so they're good. And Google might be good too. I just have mine with GoDaddy. Okay, so you need your own domain name. You might even want to get a generic name. Like for my training, I have Dwayne Groom Seminars, but I also have AdvantageTraining.net. As a realtor, I had DwayneGroom.com, but I also had InvestinEdmonton.com. And they were all directed to the same site, but I'd advertise sometimes certain ways and put, to get a list of foreclosures, go to InvestinEdmonton.com, and you can have invest. I actually had, now that I mention it, I had put an ad in the Calgary Herald when we did print advertising, a one-liner, and it just said InvestinEdmonton.com. And I had somebody from Calgary call me that wanted an investment property in Edmonton, and I sold them a house. And my one-liner just said InvestinEdmonton.com. It cost me $8 every Saturday. And I'm sure you can find a way to do that online, where you just put, Invest in Calgary. Go see if that domain name is available. InvestinCalgary.com or Calgary Regional Home Sales or Calgary Home Sales. If you can't get .com, get .net or .ca or whatever. So that domain name should be your name and a generic one, all right? You need a website that captures leads, so it has to have an input form. Don't put your email address on anything, is what I say. Nothing at all. Everything should be directed to your website, so they have to fill out an input form. If you do put your email address on anything, you're going to be playing email tag with people. How many of you experience that? So they email you, and they don't leave you their name or their phone number, and you can't get a hold of them, and you ask them to call, they never do, and every time you push a key, you're wasting time.
Right.
So don't put your email on anything at all. Just put your website address, that domain name. And if they're really serious, they'll go in, they'll fill out the input form, it'll show up in your inbox, and you'll see their name and phone number. I had one realtor who said, what if they put in the wrong phone number? Delete and move on. Like, it's not a big deal. Does that make sense? Whatever, okay? You want a website that's professional, so you could use Exact Contact or KV Core for a website. And you want to build a CRM with your KV Core or your Top Producer or Exact Contact. Exact Contact I have in the course because it's meant for people that are building their business, because it's free for a long time and it's extremely affordable. But if you have a company like we're talking here with Peter, all that stuff is covered through their systems anyways, so you're even better off with talking to him after as well, okay? So, social media. I let you know that you should use Street Text or you can use KV Core Making It Rain. But Making It Rain is only for buyers. Street Text you can do sellers. So even if you are set up with KV Core and Making It Rain, do the 7-day free trial with Street Text. You're going to get pretty excited. I had a lady just signed up for coaching from the online course. She signed up on Friday. And her first coaching was on Monday. It was at 10:30. Krista. And she's new, so she's pretty overwhelmed in trying to get all this information. And she wanted coaching bad, but she's just really, wow, I'm still kind of new and all that. But she talked to me and she talked it through, and I said, make your decision. And so she sent in the form, and then I got her going on coaching on Monday. And one of the things she said to me was something, she went and signed up for Street Text when she was in the class, just like where you guys are at right now, but she didn't say my name. Okay, so I didn't know she was in there. She never told me, but you guys are live, you see me every day, you'd probably tell me. She was online, so I didn't see her in person. So it kind of slipped through the cracks, right? So when we started coaching on Monday, I mentioned Street Text. And she said that she tried it and it didn't work. And I said, I didn't know you did. You weren't in my referral system. And I said, let's try to see if you can get in again. So as soon as you get in, make sure that you're in my referral system, or you tell me, and we got to double check, because you have to do the ads a certain way. We have to change the emails a certain way, because for some reason, Street Text is great, but they believe in something I don't believe in. And they believe in doing online evaluations. Think about that for a second. Okay? And I had a guy that was doing online evaluations, and he got some business out of it, but he said he was really busy. And when you're doing an online evaluation, do you really know the condition of the home?
No.
Do you really know the seller's plans?
No.
You can't do it. So I show you how to change the emails. So when they fill out a form and it says, so the platform on Facebook or the ad shows a picture of Calgary, and it says, if somebody wanted to buy your home, would you sell it? Find out what your home's worth now, click here. So people think that because it says now, it means now, but it doesn't mean now. It means now that we're gonna start talking about it. Now we're gonna start responding. So as soon as they click it, it comes to you, but an automated email goes to them. Now if you leave it, it says, received your request, and a bunch of dialogue, too long, too much stuff. And it says, and your online evaluation will be in your inbox within 24 hours. And I have a whole different thing we do on there. When there, what we do is we say, received your request, I have a few questions, and I'll give you a call later tonight or tomorrow will be better. And you'd be surprised how many people respond, tomorrow's good. And you're like, oh, we already got first step of communicating happening. Beyond, you know what online leads are like, right? I mean, some people fill out tons of online, they don't even talk to you. So make sure you talk to me, okay, gang? And just remember, the #1 reason for marketing is what? That's it. If you guys put an advertisement online or print that describes too much stuff and somebody finds a reason not to call, then you're just wasting your money. Because who pays for all this advertising?
You do.
The realtor. You guys keep telling me that I'm doing all this stuff, I don't know what's going on. Not me. No, anyways, if it's not, you know, like, so I mean, think about it. Some people say, well, I want to put in the price and the address, and I want to put all the details and all this, because I don't want anybody to be upset. Well, listen, they're all upset anyways, it seems like. Don't worry about it. They're not, but just don't worry about that stuff. Right? You just have to say, you know, here's something, give me a call if you want more information. Yeah, I want the address, well then call me. Or I want the price, well then call me. Or I want a list of other properties, well then call me. Right? I'm thinking of selling my house, I'd like to know what it's worth, well then call me. Or at least send out an input form and I'll call you. But it's got to be something like that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's imagine that you're doing a GeoFarm area, 5,000 postcards every month. Looks the same. Great postcard. There's a sample on my website you can follow. Okay? Where do you find it again? What's the
Website.
password?
Inner
Somebody said something different.
space circle.
Yeah, that's what I heard. No, say or inner circle, 2 words. Right? So, what was I going to say? The postcard, yeah. So you send out the postcards. Let's say you have, let's just pretend here. I'm just trying to picture this in my head and I'm trying to explain it to you. That's why there's a pause here. So imagine that you either have the money in your budget now or you were proactive for a while and you got some money. So now in your business savings account, in the for paying your bills and your marketing, let's pretend you've got $5,000. Sounds good?
Yes.
Okay, so now you figured out your budget. Your postcard for $5,000 is $1,500 a month. So you got enough for 3 months, let's say. And when you send out the postcard, let's say you get a couple more listings and you got more money going back in and you start noticing that your budget is covering the postcard, but now there's even more. Maybe you check into, we haven't brought this up on here, but for your GeoFarm area, you should consider outdoor advertising. Write that down somewhere, okay? Maybe go back to where it says GeoFarm area, right here, number 3, and just put outdoor advertising in somewhere above it or below it. And what company do you call for outdoor advertising in Calgary? Anybody know? Most of Western Canada, one of the major companies is Pattison Outdoor. They may not be in Calgary as much as Edmonton or Vancouver, but Pattison Outdoor is one. But usually on a billboard or a bus bench, you'll see a little phone number or something. Okay, and they usually run anywhere. BC's a little cheaper for some reason. Their bus benches are smaller and they're plastic, not plastic, but covered because of the rain. So theirs are only about $150 a month. I checked some prices in Edmonton. They're around $280 a month. But if you get 3, they're down to about $200 a month for each. You know, if you get 4, they're like $180. You know, but if you get 1, it's like $280. But when you do your postcards and you door knock and you start getting your budget going properly, and take some money and get your first bus bench. You'll love it. You'll feel good too. It's a little rubs your ego a bit, to be honest, but it's really feels good, and it does work if doing the other stuff. If I've seen people do it in reverse, they've just gone and bought a bus bench and did nothing else, and they've told me every time, "Well, it doesn't work." Of course it doesn't. It just shows your face, and there's nothing. There's no listings around it, no postcards being dropped, no, you're not popping by, there's no events going on, nothing. Right? It doesn't work by itself. If it does, it's very minimal anyways, right? So once you've done the GeoFarm area, you get a couple bus benches. I don't know how many does Corey have in Coventry Hills. You know, you've probably seen a few of his, hey?
Too many now.
Too many now. Right?
We started with, I believe, about 2 when
We
he
started with
first
none and
got
then
one.
one, and then we got, and his first one, I still got the picture.
Yeah.
He got the picture of his bus bench and he sent it with him sitting on it like this going, you know, because his face is on it. He's like, you know, and then now, you know, it just keep growing, and then now people are coming to you. Now the problem, there's still one more problem that can occur. You do everything right, you even work hard proactively, maybe your dialogue is still pretty decent, but you're still not perfect on converting on the phone. So give me an ooh for this. Ooh. I want to give you a form that you use, that you want to commit to using every time someone phones you. So what's the prospecting track for? It's when you're making calls,
Right.
okay? You're calling somebody. Now, the prospecting track works great for pay-per-click leads, making it rain, street text, all that stuff. The call form is specifically designed for when people call on one of your listings. When they call and want to know something about your listing. And then there's kind of some conversations you have where you're kind of use a little bit of the prospecting track and some of the call form together. But we'll get into that later. But for now, for the purpose of this, let's imagine that we advertised on Kijiji, or in the old days I would have said print advertising. And we advertised a house, but we didn't put the address. We just said beautiful bungalow in southwest Calgary, great location, no through traffic, some upgrades, won't last, you know, call Dwayne today. And that's it, okay? So see how the advertising sounded? Fairly professional or fairly reasonable, but very vague. You got to stop putting in too much stuff. You can make it sound better than what I just said, sure, but don't start saying too much about the house. Get their curiosity. Get those juices flowing with them where they're like, well, I want to know more. This sounds really good. This is a perfect house. Look at that picture. Look at what he said. There's no, and that's what we're looking for. You didn't even tell them the address. They don't even know where it is. They just know it's in that quadrant, right? It's funny how people are. I had ones that phoned on ones that they didn't even know where it was, and I told them it was sold, and they said that's what we wanted. They were disappointed. I said, well, it wasn't even where you wanted to live, you know. But that's another story. So let's just see what we got here. There's a question: where's the most money lost in real estate? You know, it's actually lost in advertising with people that don't know how to convert. You can even be good at advertising, and your phone could be ringing, but if you don't convert, you're wasting money. So you see the challenges here? First challenge is for you to believe that you can make a profit off your marketing. The second challenge is to find out the right type of marketing to do. The best is the GeoFarm area gang, supported by outdoor advertising and supported by the internet as well. Not the other way around. Now if you just want to do internet, just remember online leads are fine, but they're never as good as somebody phoning you. So the conversion ratio for online leads is about 1% conversion. 1%. So for every 100 leads you get, even if counting even bad phone numbers, but if for every 100 you get, you should get, if you're using the prospecting track, you should get at least 1 sale for every 100. Okay, maybe 2 if you're really good, only if you're using the prospecting track. If somebody phones you, if 10 people called you and said, I want to sell my house, can you come over and let us know what it's worth? How many listings do you think you'd probably get?
2 or 3.
2, 3. If you're really good, how much would you get? How much would I get?
All of them.
Oh no, I've turned down some because they may be overpriced, right?
Like
But
half, 5, 6.
and maybe somebody, our connection doesn't feel right for some reason. So I should get 5 or 6. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's 60%. Which would you prefer? 1 or 2% or 60%?
60.
Obviously. So, but the problem is that it's easier to get the online leads coming in than it is to get people to phone you. And there's a different cost difference as well. But if a person doesn't know how to convert for either of them, it's just a waste of money. That's where most money is lost, you know. So there's an awareness I want to talk about for a second here. Okay? And the awareness is, you know, you can't, it says you cannot sell a house with an ad, except the exception occurs. And the exception will not help you make a living. You know, because that's what's happened. I've said it, you can't sell a house with an ad. And I've had a realtor say, yeah, but Dwayne, this one time this guy called me and he bought the exact one he called on. I said, yeah, that's the exception. So if we build our business on an exception, you probably will spend $1,000 a month and maybe do 5 deals a year for the exceptions. Instead, we want to spend $3,000 or $4,000 a month to make $400,000 a year, work fewer hours and convert more. Yes?
Yes.
So don't advertise just to please the seller. Like, you actually wouldn't tell them that, but you want to advertise, again, to get the phone to ring. Isn't that right, gang?
Yes.
So when somebody phones us, we need to communicate a message with them. And the message can only gravitate to an appointment if we ask them some questions to find a problem. It's usually a timing thing, or a location thing, or a money thing. And what we do is we offer a solution, we have the solution, and we will do it in person. Remember we said that before? Every time we're talking to somebody, they ask a question, we're going to give them the answer or the solution, but we offer, not ask, offer to meet with them. And then when we meet in person, that's when we go over everything. If they won't meet with us, what do? Yeah, I mean, we can't help you. If you change your mind, call us back. So we're back on the phone on this one, by the way, gang, okay? So, as a side note, remember, communication occurs when they, meaning the potential client, understands what you understand the same way you understand it. They need to understand that this phone call, there's only one thing that's supposed to come out of it. What is it? A face-to-face meeting. The ad is to get the phone to ring. The phone is to see if we want to meet. But if we were just direct and say we have to meet, you're going to get too many no's. So we have to follow the prospecting track. Or if they call on a property, then maybe we could ask a few questions, gather some information, and offer to meet with them. Is that right? Just remember, if you're going to lose them by Friday or next Friday, you may as well lose them by today or Wednesday. And that's the thing. I'm actually teaching you through the marketing to get rid of a lot of leads. Not good leads, but they may even be sort of potential leads, but you're trying to get rid of them. Or what you're doing is letting them know their option. I can help you. Let's get together. And if they say no, then that's your cue just to say, well, I can't help you. Just like that. Even if you're new, you have to do that right now, okay? So part one of converting the ad call, part one, let me just see here, is, let me do this part one really quick here, and then we'll take a 5-minute break, okay? Just 5 minutes, okay? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so part one, now remember, if somebody calls you and you answer your phone, if you don't know who's calling, you gotta do part one, this first step. You gotta gain control and get their name and number first. So what's one of the best ways to get their name and number? If we didn't look at this, what do you think is one of the best ways to get their name and number? I told you for the last 2 weeks, something to do when your phone rings.
Don't pick it up.
Don't pick it up. It's so easy. Like, you don't want to ask them for their name, or you want to get them to leave their name. The easiest way is don't answer. And if they're very serious, or they really want to talk to you, they'll leave their name and number. Problem is, in about the last at least 5 years, maybe 7 years, a lot of people phone and don't leave a message. And then they are almost expecting, some people are expecting you to call back because you saw their number. Now, I don't know about your guys' phone, I haven't really looked, I don't think it happens, but I turn my phone off a lot. If somebody phones when my phone is off, do you think it shows me the phone number?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Mine doesn't. Maybe I have a setting that, I wouldn't want to phone somebody back and leave a message anyways. But what I want you to do is just trust me. Even the way it is nowadays, even though in our personal circles somebody phones and hangs up, doesn't leave a message, but you seem to phone them back, don't do it for business. Don't. It almost sounds foolish. I had one where I phoned a guy about the class, I left him a message and he didn't check his voicemail. Like, he came to one of my free events, right? And I had his phone number, so I was calling to see if he wanted to take the class. And by the way, this happened to a number of realtors over the years. So I called and said, hi, this is Dwayne Groom, thanks for coming to the free event. We got an 8-week program starting soon that you're aware, that you know about, and I'd like to know if you had any questions on that, see if you'd like to join us. Call me back as soon as possible. And then the phone rings in like 30 seconds. I go, and it's the same number I just called. So I go, hello? And he goes, yeah. I go, yeah. Is this Joe? Yeah. Yeah, what do you want? And I'm thinking, this is a realtor. How professional is that? And I said, well, I just left you a message. Did you listen to it? No. Well, who's this? And it's all kind of snotty type, kind of snarly, you know, like unprofessional. It was almost making me
You
sick
get
to my
that a
stomach.
lot these days.
Happens a lot, right? So
Yeah.
anyways, you guys, for you, when you phone somebody, leave a message, right? And when somebody phones you, if they don't leave a message, just delete or don't bother with them, okay? Just trust me on that. When you get busy, you don't have time to deal with, half of the ones that don't leave a message aren't even nice to talk to anyways,
That's true.
right? So I would let it go to voicemail and then you could skip part 1. But if you're in your office and you just feel like answering your phone, you should answer your phone like this. Good morning, ABC, can I help you? Or good afternoon, can I help you? Yeah, is Dwayne in there? Yeah, thanks for calling. What can I do for you? I was calling about a property that I saw in Happy Hills. Could you describe it a little bit for me, please? So you want to make it sound like you have more than one listing, even in the same neighborhood. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you describe it for me? And they say, yeah, it's one on the corner. I think it's 123 Happy Hills. Oh, I know which one you're talking about. By the way, my name's Dwayne Groom, and yours is? And what if they say, I don't want to give you my name? Now what? My name's Dwayne, and yours is? I don't want to give you my name. Now what? How do you feel about that?
How would it?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can do that. I can't help you then. Or I was in a funny mood one day, and I says, really, you don't want to give me your name? No? Oh, I said, well, I got to call you something. He says, I don't care what you call me. I said, okay, I'm going to call you Susan. It's a true story too, I was in a mood. He goes, fine. I go, fine. I said, so, what can I tell you about the house, Susan? And after about 3 Susans, he started laughing, and he told me his name, and whatever, right? But I don't know if that's going to work all the time, right? But I just thought, well, who are these people? You're calling a professional, my name's on the sign, I ask you for yours, you won't even tell me, then fine, I don't want nothing to do with it, right? That's all. So, if you don't let it go to voicemail, then don't answer your phone with your name, but trade names personally, so that they at least expect it, kind of like an afterthought, like it said there, right? Good morning, ABC Realty, can I help you? Yeah, I was calling about a listing you have. Oh, which one are you calling about? Oh, it's one in Happy Hills. Oh, I know which one you mean. Listen, my name's Dwayne, by the way, and yours is? Oh, my name's Joe, and your number there just in case, but you know, you might not say that. You might say, if you phone, you got his number, and I got your number here at 403 whatever, is that right? Yeah. Okay, well listen, before I pull up that information on that property, you know, because I have a number of listings, or you might not even say that if you don't. You might just say, before I pull up that information, I just had a couple quick questions to ask you to say, that might save us some time, fair enough. Now what if they say, that's fine, go ahead, then we're good, right?
Yeah.
If they say, I'm kind of in a hurry, but that's